Let's go to Abuja. Malpe has a question for you too. Malpe.
Now, in the face of an acceptance of responsibility, do you think that it should just end there?
Basically, that is one of the weaknesses in the whole process we are facing, which is the exercise of the powers of investigation by the National Assembly. The exercise of the powers of investigation of the National Assembly is to expose maladministration and abuse of powers. It has done it. The question is, what next? Are we just to be entertained by this charade of, infamy and the rest of it, and nothing happens? Ideally, in other, jurisdictions, subsequent to this, there will be regulatory and legislative enactments. Legislative enactment to change, to look at the loopholes and to say, this is not the way to do this. Regulatory, procedures will be changed. And of course, such other acceptable norms will come to being, like the African Charter that I'm talking about. It is time that the National Assembly begins to look at how these values will be domesticated. Apart from that, there will also be sanctions. So if a person says, I'm responsible, what does the civil service regulation say for such people? There should be disciplinary procedures, and there should be sanctions that will be placed on such persons. So ideally, there should be a flow of actions that will flow from this revelation. Of course, the whole process is just investigatory, and is to identify those who are responsible. After identifying them, some may be in for civil liabilities and sanctions, and some should be recommended for criminal prosecution.
Let's not forget that this hearing was also done by the Senate, but they did theirs behind closed doors. Do you think it was a good idea for the House of Representatives to hold theirs in front of the cameras, even beaming live to Nigerians?
I think that is the modern way of conducting legislative business, particularly on matters like this, so that there can be a public awareness as to how government of the business is being conducted. And we commend the House of Rep for taking that decision to inform the generality of the public. You have to be able to appreciate the context within which this is significant. We are talking about pension, and we are talking about pension that relates to a sizable number of the workforce in this country. And a lot of people, they have their pensions not paid. And this is one of the reasons. When money for pensions are gathered and somebody can go there and just cut away 17 billion of such pension, it should be in the public domain. And we commend the House of Rep for doing this for us.
How do you want them to proceed? We know that the hearing for the House of Representatives is over right now, but what do you hope to see in the recommendations that they put forward?
Basically, when there's an investigation by the House, they will make their findings as to what has actually transpired, findings in respect of procedures, findings in respect of personnel, and findings in respect of culpability. At the end of the day, recommendations will be based on these findings. Interestingly, the recommendations will now probably go to the executive. And who are the members of the executive to implement this recommendation? The Attorney General and the head of service. So your guess is as good as mine what will happen to such recommendations.
Okay, let's bring you back to Lagos here, because some of the information that we get in, especially to do with the EFCC chairman concerning this case especially, you did hear of Maina's submissions that some amounts of monies and properties were and assets were given to the EFCC, but the EFCC chairman clearly said that he didn't receive anything of such from Maina. So then, where is this property that Maina is talking about?
Well, the EFCC will have a record of what they have received. And if there is no record of that and Maina is making an allegation, it's something that the Attorney General should be able to step in to help us to determine the veracity of Maina's allegation. Interestingly, in all this, you will find out that there has been no concrete recommendation as to how to prosecute or to go against Maina. On the other hand, we've been having Maina going to courts against the government and obtaining judgment to restrain them from prosecuting him. So who is being served in all this?
Do you think that, although we're still, the process is still on, that investigative panel hasn't closed yet, but do you think that if we are to zero in on Maina and look at his antecedents, look at his submissions, one very important point that he said is that he wants to have a meeting with Mr. President, and he believes that those monies that are being siphoned today in the pension scheme fraud is still ongoing even to this time. Do you think that Mr. President should weigh in on this and ask to see Maina?
I don't think that will be necessary. Every person who commits a crime then will be able to see the president to negotiate on basis of whatever he has said.
Is that what he's trying to do, to see the president and negotiate?
A lot of things have been said by both Maina and his counsel to create confusion. Look at what the lawyer said the other time, that Maina is still receiving salary. Now the minister comes to tell us, Minister of Finance comes to tell us that Maina ceased having salary from 2013. So basically, Maina is the master puppet who is pulling the string, and he wants to extend the string to the president. I don't think that should be allowed. There should be a process by which our criminal investigation procedures, criminal prosecution, administration of justice will not be dependent on what one person say or the other.
You know what, Prof, there's a statement made by the Director General of the DSS. We can play that so that you respond to what he said, giving the Attorney General permission to meet with Maina. Can we have that track, please?
On December 1st, 2015, we have discovered a paper from EFCC directing us to remove his name in the stop list, which we have stopped, we have removed. But when the case of Maina started, when directive was given by Mr. President that he should be looked for or investigation should be done, we blocked his name in our stop list. We blocked all his passport, that's Nigerian passport, which means he cannot reissue his passport any longer, and he cannot pass through our recognized border. I have to state that we have checked our e-pass. We have not seen movement of Maina through our airport since 2013 when he was refused. So the record available to us, Maina has not been traveling. If he has been traveling, he has not been passing through a port we can see him.
The disappearance and subsequent exit from the country by Maina was made possible and easy for him, as there was no request by any agency of government to the DSS for his apprehension. Consequently, his name was not placed in our service watch list. I would like to state here that the service has nothing to do with the reinstatement into the public service of the Federation of Maina, as well as his subsequent promotion. However, the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice placed a call to me when he was outside the country and requested me to advise him on a request that he got through a source that Maina wanted to meet him, and that he wanted me to advise him whether to agree to see Maina or not in that foreign country. And I responded to the Attorney General that he should accept to see Maina, but he should not see him alone.